Oh, by the way, since we're rolling, that I'll start out with, I was just thinking about how I was wamboozled in the conversation before. I didn't know we were rolling. Started our podcast last week, and it said something. I said something along like, "I don't give a fuck what my mom cares about," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, that's good that we're starting out the podcast at that." She goes, "Do you want me to?" She was like, "Send me the podcast this week," and I sent it to her. And I go, "Don't pay much attention to that. I think Dylan was trying to throw me under the bus or something."
Now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to have your parents.
She was laughing.
That's right. Now you know how it feels. That's
Olympics start this week or when?
Yeah, they start. I think they start a week from today. I think it's the 29th of July. Okay. But, well, and we're gonna get into some of that stuff. Before I do that, though, because if not, I'll start to say something internal. We'll say, "Wait, if you don't say this, my brother's gonna get mad at us."
Yep.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, it's important.
Like, subscribe.
Also, like, subscribe, comment. Comment helps. We got more comments last week. We got a bunch of comments on my short videos from the daily videos that I'm breaking down stuff.
Nice.
One of them I talked about, Caitlin Clark, got like 25 comments and like 1,000 views. So, going to keep doing that. But make sure to like and subscribe. Support the channel. If you want to donate to us, I'll go ahead and put my Venmo below. You're welcome to donate money to us if you want. Also, we are going to get back to the thing. I still owe Trey Morgan $15 from the bet. I forgot. I remembered it the other day. Remember I said I was going to give away $15 Venmo if I won the bet.
Oh, Panthers?
That's right. So I will give that away. Trey Morgan won that. Now, moving on, we'll do some more bets coming soon. Let's start with, since we're kind of pressed for time, we're going to have a guest come on here in a little bit. Let's start with the best thing that we saw this week, and I'm going to go first.
Go ahead.
Because
knock yourself out.
That's right.
I know it wasn't Caitlin Clark in the All-Star game.
Wow. You know what it was? It was Caitlin Clark in the game against the Dallas Wings, dropping 19 assists in a WNBA single game record.
I knew she wasn't playing well in that All-Star game versus USA because I didn't hear anything from you. And I looked at the stats. It was like 1 for 8 and 1 assist.
She broke the rookie record for most assists. No, she had 10 assists. She broke the rookie record for most assists in an All-Star game.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're talking about.
She was 1 or 8 from the field.
It's an all-star game. Team USA actually won that game. The Team All-Stars won the game by like double digits. Arike Gumbawale had like 36 points. Anyway,
don't know who that is.
I don't care.
For her.
I don't care about that. What I'm talking about is Caitlin Clark breaking the WNBA record. We never see that. Rookies breaking in a single game record in any major sport. We don't see it. She's 26 games into her rookie season in a league that's been around for 27 years, and she's breaking game records. She's the lock for Rookie of the Year. She went to minus 2,000 after that game. It's over. But that was absolutely the best thing I saw this week. She also had 24 points and 6 rebounds in that game, just so you know. She is a star.
Best thing I saw this week was someone tweeted out a picture of whatever his name is, the Scott Henson or whatever the guy's name is from Red Zone. That does Red Zone, and said 50 days away. So I'm 50 days away from not having to hear about the fucking WNBA and Caitlin Clark stats, and we'll have NFL Red Zone back on. Well, that is the best thing I saw this week.
Do you know how many days there are until the first preseason game?
I'm looking at it right here. Hall of Fame game, the first.
11 days.
Yep.
We're 11 days away from the preseason. I actually don't remember.
Houston Texans.
Have they done
the Bears?
Have they done this before, where they have a week off in between the last week of preseason and the first week of the regular season? Do they normally have a week break? I know that, but they did that. They did that last. It used to be 4 games, and they did that last year where they switched it to 3. But I thought they still had it where it was. Yeah,
I don't know if they went to that last year or not. I'd have to look.
Regardless, we have 11 days until the first NFL preseason game, which is just the week 0 because nobody else plays that week. But then we've got 46 days until the real NFL season begins. September 5th is the start of the real NFL season. September 8th is the first NFL Sunday where we get all the games. So we are inching closer. We're inching closer to college as well. We can talk a little bit of NFL right here. Let's get into some NFL. I'll start with the Cowboys. I saw today on the Carton Show that they are prioritizing right now re-signing Ceedee Lamb over Dak Prescott and over Micah Parsons. Smart or stupid?
Oh, good question. You kind of snuck that one out on me. Man, Micah Parsons is a lot of people say, receivers. I heard Devontae Adams was talking about it the other day. I forgot whose podcast he was on, talking about just the bet. He had himself obviously number one, but I think he had Ceedee Lamb too. A lot of people say that he's the best route runner in the league. I mean, I don't know. He had a great season last year, but I don't know if I'd prioritize him over. Not that I think Dak Prescott is great. Like, I think he's got to play this year, and I think the Cowboys are making him play his contract out.
They are.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I'm saying for the simple fact of he wants just astronomical money, and if he doesn't play well, if he plays well, he's going to get that money anyway, right? If he doesn't play well, then they're going to get a big discount on him, I think. And I just don't – I mean, I think the quarterback position should always be where teams have, their priorities, if you will. And then Micah Parsons is a top 5 defender in the league. So I guess the answer is no. I wouldn't be prioritizing Ceedee Lamb over those two guys. But I do think they need to make Dak Prescott play his contract out, because the only thing that's going to happen from that is you're going to potentially get a discount, because he just wants crazy numbers. He wants to be the top paid quarterback in the league. So you might as well make him play this year.
If he was to have a good regular season, a great regular season, like let's say he doesn't win the MVP, but he's in the conversation for the MVP. However, in the playoffs, he does what he always does, and they lose in the first round, or they lose their first game, right? They don't get to a conference championship game. In that case, what do you do if you're Dallas? Do you re-sign him for a lot of money, which he's going to want? And if you don't do that, he's probably going to get it elsewhere. Or do you just say, well, this is the same story every single time. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Sometimes he's had great regular seasons. He's had bad regular seasons. It doesn't matter. It always ends up the exact same. So if he does not do it in the playoffs this year, what do you do if you're Dallas?
Great question. I mean,
do you really waste the money?
It just depends who else is available, because Dallas is going to, listen, they're going to be picking, ideally in the draft, they're going to be picking 20-something, right? So it's not like you're going to go out and get an elite quarterback in the draft. So then what? I mean, my question to you is there anybody out there better to go get than Dak Prescott?
No, there's not.
Because I don't even like Dak Prescott, but I'm just saying from a Cowboys standpoint and an organization, he makes you competitive. Does he win playoff games? Absolutely not. But you can also make the argument that the Cowboys are nowhere as good as the Niners anyway. On paper, they're not as good as the Eagles. So, I mean, it's just, to me, I almost feel like now, don't get me wrong, he absolutely chokes, but I almost feel like there's nothing else they can do. They're kind of stuck with him, and I think they're going to have to end up paying him the money.
The problem is, if they pay him that, you're in the same situation that a lot of teams get in, where they overpay the quarterback. Sure. And they can't get other. And it's different because a lot of those teams who overpay their quarterbacks, those quarterbacks win in the playoffs and have proven it and done it. And it's like, you're going to go out and pay a guy top 3 money, which I get is how the market works. It resets every year. But top 3 money at the time, you're going to handcuff yourself essentially for the rest of your team for a guy that can't deliver in big moments anyway. I mean, it's not like in the playoffs this year, he just, had a little bit of an off game, or, had a couple bad plays and the Packers were so good. Yes, the defense was bad, but he was horrific. He threw 3 or 4 picks in the game? I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, he was real bad.
He was real bad.
Yeah, so I really don't. Usually I have a definitive answer and opinion on something. I really don't know what they do.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the market constantly resets. So he's going to be a top 3 paid highest quarterback until the cap moves up more. And then in 2 years, he'll be a top 15 paid quarterback. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I really don't know what the Cowboys do. I wouldn't want to be making those decisions, but I think ultimately you're going to see them pay Dak Prescott because, like you said, he'll get it elsewhere, and I don't know where else you go from there.
Well, I just think at that point, and as a Cowboys fan, having to watch them every week, regardless of how good they are, and I will do that. Obviously, I don't want us to be terrible, but it almost feels like at that point, it's like, okay, this is not going to work at any point. We're never going to win a Super Bowl. If that is the actual goal of the organization, why pay the guy top 3, top 2, number 1 money and be stuck with them for another 4 years when you know you have no chance to win? Yes, you're going to be relevant. Yes, you're going to sell tickets. Yes, you're going to keep the fan base interested. Or do you just blow it up, let him go, tank for a couple of years, try to find a new guy, try to trade for a new guy, maybe try to keep some of your other pieces like Micah Parsons, maybe Ceedee Lamb, I don't know, and then just try to rebuild in a couple of years, because at that point, what else is going to change? Now, to Dak's credit, I will say it's not like we've had a phenomenal defense or a phenomenal coach for the last 10, the whole time of his career, really, but a lot of it has been on his shoulders as well. So you could look at it either way.
And going back to the conversation of, prioritizing him or Lamb, go look at, the reason I say it's got to be the quarterback is go look at the situation in Vegas. They have Devontae Adams, who they pay a fortune, and they have Jimmy Garoppolo, who couldn't get him the ball, and then they have Aiden O'Connell. So it's just like, if you don't have a serviceable quarterback, it doesn't matter who you have playing receiver. I
agree with you 100%. I heard a rumor that Devontae Adams could go to New York with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that's going to happen because I think he likes being near his family. But if I were him, man, I would suck it up for a couple years. You're only going to be, in that top 5, top 10 echelon for another 2 years, maybe. He's getting older. I would go to New York, try to win a Super Bowl, and then just go finish out your career, maybe like in LA with the Chargers or the Rams or something. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It'll be if the Raiders are off to a really, really bad start again, it makes zero sense for them not to trade.
Yeah.
You might as well do it. So
they didn't go get a quarterback. Yeah. They're stuck with the same thing.
Get somebody. But yeah, I would. He wants to go to a contender, so it wouldn't surprise me if he went to go play with Rodgers. I'll say that.
A few more NFL topics. We had Xavier Worthy. There's like this video going around of him catching this 60-yard bomb from Mahomes in training camp. I don't normally watch sports talk, but I happened to be watching the Carton Show this morning. They were showing the video, and he was completely overreacting to it. Basically, the take was, how could the Buffalo Bills, needing a wide receiver, pass on Xavier Worthy and trade back that pick, because they traded that pick to Kansas City, who ultimately took Worthy, whatever it was, 26 or 27. And then, the Bills ended up taking Keon Coleman, who I like.
I like him too.
He doesn't have the speed that Worthy has, but he's better at a lot of other, I think at route running, at going up and getting balls. He's bigger, he's stronger.
He's just a bigger physical receiver.
Yeah, it depends what you want. Obviously, Worthy fits what Kansas City wants a little bit better, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. I do think it's interesting, and you tell me your thoughts on this, because everybody's freaking out about it and talking about Xavier Worthy like he's Tyreek Hill from one preseason, practice play. Yes, speed is important in today's NFL, but there are plenty of receivers, Marquez Valdes-Scantling on the Chiefs, who are speedsters and never pan out. So I don't know. I think this is a complete overreaction to people, because apparently a lot of people have been shitting on the Bills for doing this, and I don't get it. I think Xavier Worthy's fine. I think he's going to be good, but I watched him at Texas.
No one knows how. It's always so funny. People, see one play in training camp. No one has any idea. You're not going to know how these receivers are going to pan out. You put them in a game and see. No one has any idea. It's you have your best guess, like, oh, this guy's going to be really. Who knows? Neighbors could be way better than Marvin Harrison Jr. We don't know. I get that they're looking at these guys' attributes and the way they're built. Like, obviously, Marvin Harrison's father, played Hall of Famer. Like, I get all those things, but you don't know until you put the pads on and go out there and play in the NFL. So, especially the overreaction from freaking training camp or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes zero difference that he caught that ball there. And, yeah, Mahomes has got a cannon. He's going to catch some bombs. But, I think that's a little harsh to the Bills, because I think Coleman's a good receiver.
Yeah,
I was shocked he didn't go in the first round.
We were too. We were looking it up. We were like, did he not enter the draft? Because we couldn't find him, and then he hadn't. Did he go the last pick of the first round or the first pick of the second round?
First pick of the second.
First pick of the second round.
Yeah.
The other, no, but like you're right. Think about the fact that, just look at last year's quarterbacks, right? Like you be hard pressed to find somebody who wouldn't have taken Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud.
Everybody was probably going to do it.
Everybody would have.
And then, it's so funny because everybody was like, the Texans ruined their franchise for the next 10 years. And then they get C.J. Stroud, who looked way better than Bryce. Obviously, it's early on. I'm not ready to count Bryce Young out either.
I'm not either.
A horrible team.
The worst team the worst team I've seen a quarterback go into in a situation.
Yeah, they're real bad.
Situations matter just as much, right? Like who you're playing with, your coaching staff. I mean, Bryce Young's in the worst organization in football with a sociopathic owner who's had 5 coaches since 2022, fired 2 coaches mid-season, right? Like the worst offensive line in football. And that
feels like a movie over there.
It really does. It's pathetic. I mean, they had 33-year-old Adam Thielen as their number 1 receiver last year. There is no way we're judging Bryce Young based on that season.
Adam Thielen was way more worried about his golf game. He, I think he got 3rd place in that celebrity golf classic.
Oh, in the American Century?
Yeah. He was like top 5.
Is he actually a good golfer?
He's a good golfer, yeah. If you finish in the top 5 of that, you're really good. I think he was in the final day. He was in the last group with I almost said Marty Bird, but he Marty Fish.
You know who Marty Bird is?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Ozark.
Yeah. Marty Bird launders money. He doesn't play golf. So, yeah, Marty Fish and who's the other? Oh, and Joe Pavelski, the
hockey player.
Real good golfer, too.
He just retired?
Can't putt for shit, but he hits a ball really, really good.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
They just slap shot.
Yep. They all could the final groups of that tournament, like all those guys can play for sure.
Before I do want to get into some golf because I want to talk about the Open Championships, but before I do, I think we have to bring up a few other things, or one other thing specifically, because it's just we have to talk about it, and that's Team USA damn near losing to South Sudan 2 days ago, and it is an exhibition match.
Yeah.
But look, it's not like Team USA wasn't playing their guys. Everybody played for Team USA with the exception of Kevin Durant. And South Sudan has been a country for just 13 years.
Yep.
They've been a country for 13 years. They do not have a single indoor basketball facility in the entire country. And its average temperature is in the 90s.
Yep.
And yet they're playing the good old US of A. And really, if we're being honest, should have won the game. And now I will say this. I don't know. Did South Sudan just break off from Sudan? Is that so?
Yeah.
So South Sudan breaks off from Sudan. So yes, they've been a country for 13 years or whatever, but it's not like, these guys are 20, 25 years old. They wasn't a country when they were. So what I'm saying is, it's not like they're just like freshly starting with no one. They have a good coach. Royal Ivy's actually a really good coach. Luol Deng is the assistant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what it is I think I think Sudan's been in conflict for the last 20 years. That's why you see South Sudan, maybe even longer than that. So you have a bunch of refugees that go places, and that's their nationality. But they have a bunch of fringe NBA, G League guys.
Wenyen Gabriel was on the Lakers for a little bit.
Yeah.
He played at Kentucky. They had Shayok, who we were talking about, played at Wichita State. They've got a lot of guys who played high level college basketball. But like you texted me, I mean, it would be the equivalent of a summer league team beating the NBA All-Stars. I mean, they were a 47-point underdog or 45-point underdog. Would this have been, and I want to get into what happened. Well, I guess I'll say that first. So the end of the game, Team USA was losing the entire way, the whole way. They're down double digits at halftime. And really, actually, the second unit got them back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The first unit comes back in, blows the lead again. But, USA has so much depth, so much talent. They were able to get the lead. Then the USA was up late with 3 minutes to go. I think they were up 7 and blows the lead. South Sudan hits a 3 with 20 seconds to go. Take the lead. LeBron scores on the ensuing possession. South Sudan on the final possession, they had a putback layup that they missed.
Yeah, I saw it.
And then got absolutely hacked by Anthony Edwards. And if you see the clip, Anthony Edwards is looking around like for a whistle because he knew he hacked the living shit out of the guy, and they didn't call it. Would have been 2 free throws for the win. Would have been a lot of pressure, but they didn't play like they were nervous the whole game. They probably make those and win. Would that have been the biggest upset in sports history? 45-point dog, South Sudan. They're the lowest rated Olympic team playing against the USA.
I mean, it would have to be up there, right?
Right.
Apparently, and I don't know because I wasn't, live, but you always hear about the miracle deal where we played the Soviets, in the hockey game and won. And my buddy Sean, who's a big hockey guy, told me that, like, in that game, I don't know what the score was when we won, but he said that we were, like, legitimately outshot, like, 65-3. And, like, our 3 shots went in and they scored twice or something. Like, I'm making it up. So, like, I think that would definitely be up there because I think at the time we had a bunch of just like it was all college kids. Yeah. So, in playing against their pros, so like that would be probably, apparently that was the craziest ever. But yeah, this would have to be close. The only reason I would say no is because it was a showcase, right?
Yeah.
If it was in the Olympic Games, then you would be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. But since it was a showcase, I guess you can't say it. But I think the USA was definitely going through the motions a bit in the first half to go down that much. Like you said, came back. The second unit brought them back. I actually did watch most of it. And then we led by 7 with 1:30 left. And they went on an 8-0 run.
Yes.
And 1:10 to take a 1-point lead. And I even told you, it was like, I'm not cheering against the USA, but it's like, this game does not matter. And this is like their life Super Bowl. Like, this would mean more to them than anything. So I was just like, and, we have LeBron and all those old guys that have been around forever. And it's like, it wasn't really going to matter. We would still end up probably winning the gold medal and whatever. But it was, it was almost like you felt yourself cheering, like, I gotta hope South Sudan scores here. It'd be hilarious. But
no, I kind of was back and forth on it.
If it was in the Olympics, I would obviously be rooting for us. But since it's a showcase, who cares?
If I will say this, if it was like more, like I'm looking out there and seeing some of these guys who it's like, are they actually from Sudan? Like maybe they all are, I don't know. And it's like
parents,
part of that is like, I don't know, like if they were legitimately like a brand new country, have been around for 25 years, and these kids grew up there and were not like they're playing in Africa or playing in Europe, and they just, I would have been like 100% rooting for them because I don't really care. There's nobody really on Team USA who's all that likable. And it brings up an interesting point because Team USA looked horrible, and we've seen Team USA not look good or not look as dominant the last, 4 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, didn't we lose in the Olympics in the first round last year? Didn't France beat us, or it was either the Olympics or FIBA. We lost in the opening round.
FIBA. I know Olympics we've won the last.
Well, no, we won the gold. It was in the group stage that we lost, though. We lost a group stage game. I think I don't remember what it was. Anyway, regardless. It looks like a bunch of individuals. I thought putting Derek White on the team was ridiculous. You leave off Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown. I even would have put De'Aaron Fox over him and over Tyrese Halliburton, who I think is a joke. But this is a weird team because they have 7 guys on the roster age 30 or older.
Yep.
Their average age is 30. There's only 2 guys on the roster 25 or younger. That's Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton. And I don't think Tyrese Halliburton should even be on the roster. And when you look at the NBA right now, and we've talked about this. We talked about this during the draft. The best 3 players in the NBA right now are all not from the United States. Nikola Jokic, Serbia, Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece, Luka Doncic, Slovenia. And then you have Wemby, who's going to be the best player in the world, from France. Right? Like, LeBron's 39.
Yeah, it seems like the rest of the world for sure is catching up in basketball because, I mean, look at the NBA draft this year. How many guys from France was like 3 in the top 10?
3 in the top 10.
Yeah. Now, some of them might not be great.
Yeah, the top 2.
Regardless. I mean, they, 3 picks drafted in the top 10. So, yeah.
And number 1 pick last year, right? Like,
yeah. I would think 4 years from now with Wemby in 4 years, and the rest of those guys from France getting a little bit older, not to say we will still be favorite probably in the Olympics, but it'll be a lot tighter. Like France will be, way up there. I think they're the second choice or third choice now. Like they were like 10-1 or something like that, it said.
I haven't looked too much about the odds, but I know there is Wemby playing for them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting then.
Yeah, he scored. He scored quite a few points against. Was it Serbia they played the other day when Jokic shot there? Yeah.
Man, I really wouldn't put it. It would not. Obviously, I want us to win the gold medal. I would not be shocked if we didn't. Like if we had a bad showing this is kind of reminiscent of the 04 run where we didn't even make the championship game and Argentina with Manu won the gold medal. That's
the only time we didn't win, right?
Yes, since the Dream Team. Yes, that's the only one. We got the bronze medal. That was Tim Duncan and Richard Jefferson and Allen Iverson, that group. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about the Open Championships.
Yep.
We had, I was stunned. I didn't realize that it ended that early in the day.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to end around 3, so I was about to turn it on thinking, okay, I'll catch the last 9 holes, and I saw I got an alert that Xander Schauffele won the Open Championship. We had 3 months ago, the guy was considered the biggest choker in the game. He had a gold medal, but he did not have a major championship despite playing for a long, long time and being right there a bunch and giving away a lot of leads late in tournaments. And yet now he's won 2 of the 4 majors this year. He won the PGA earlier. This one, the PGA he won on a final putt. He had to make a putt on 18 to win. This one he won by 3 strokes. He ran away with it. And it also sealed that the USA, speaking of countries now again, the USA, who got killed in the Ryder Cup last year, has claimed all 4 of the major championships this year for the first time since 1983, I believe, which is interesting. We had Scottie Scheffler win the Masters. Obviously, Xander won the PGA and the Open Championship, and then we had Bryson DeChambeau winning at Pinehurst in the U.S. Open. Did you get to watch much of this? I didn't.
I watched a lot of the final round. Schauffele kind of started okay, was hitting good shots. He was burning the edges of a lot of putts, and then as soon as he got to like 7 or 8, I can't remember where he started, but he just started making everything he looked at. He was hitting really good shots. He looked super calm. It was just classic Xander Schauffele right down. He had actually 2 wayward tee shots in a row on some of the harder holes, and one, Smiley Coffin was over there going, "Oh, this is just a brutal lie, this and that and the other," and he hacked it out of there and hit it to 3 feet and tapped it in for a birdie. I mean, he was playing really, really well. I was hoping Rosie. I wanted Justin Rose to win. He had never won a Open Championship.
Has he won a major?
Yeah, he won a U.S. Open.
He won the U.S. Open?
Yeah, I believe so.
Billy Horschel finished. I was wrong. He won by 2 strokes. Billy Horschel and Justin Rose finished 7 under.
Yeah.
But Schauffele was not in the lead the whole tournament, right? Like he won.
No, he was just right there. And a lot of people thought it was going to be Scheffler, obviously, that shot up and won, but it was Schauffele. Scheffler, again, hit the ball. He did hit the ball great yesterday, but just in general, I mean, it was just the putting again. I mean, he was
back to his old self.
So many looks from 10 feet, 15 feet that other guys are making. Those greens are typically link style course greens are not very fast. So like they're pretty easy for those guys to hit putts, make holing speed and making a lot of them, but he putted terrible. I mean, he wasn't making anything. So, but yeah, Schauffele definitely deserved it. He kind of hung around all week. He was, like you said, 3rd, 4th, 5th, right there, right behind the leaders. And then, like I said, made everything down the stretch that he looked at. I mean, I played the toughest stretch of holes, I think, at like 3 under par yesterday. So he killed it. And like you said, once, I think we talked about it on the show, and I've always said, once he gets the 1 and gets over the hump,
right?
Now he's gonna keep winning them,
right?
Because he's just so consistent. So before, I don't think he had the belief he could win. I knew he always knew he could be top 5, but now he thinks he can win them all. So I think you'll see him run off at least another few majors. So we'll see.
You're my boy, and I was very happy about this. Tom Kim missed the cut, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
I just saw he finished 11 over.
I didn't see. I wasn't paying that close of attention early in the week. But when I tuned in on Saturday, they showed all the guys.
Rory missed the cut.
Rory was like plus 11 or something.
Just so was DeChambeau.
DeChambeau, all those guys. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those deals where it's if you're not if you're not mentally prepared for those conditions and whatever. But Rory, you know, obviously that's the kind of, he grew up playing link style golf, so he's just been all over the place. Apparently, the critics were mad at him because he said that after he made triple on number 4, he was thinking about where he was going to go on vacation or something. And I was like, well, I mean, who could blame the guy? I mean, his tournament's over. Like, he's not going to shoot 7 under coming in.
Only 8 guys shot under par. Is that surprising?
Yeah. Those courses are always, I mean, to me, that course, there was some long holes there, but to me, it just didn't seem like there was as much trouble as some of the. You could get in trouble, but I guess the fescue is what I'm trying to say. Like when these guys would hit it into the tall grass, they could all get it out fairly easily.
That's kind of what happened at the U.S. Open, too.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be real hard, and then they were able to get it out pretty. If you weren't in like a big bad lie, you could end up
bad one.
But 80% of them were not.
Exactly, and that's kind of how this course was too. So you have to be unlucky. Now, the one thing that I always love about the Open Championship, British Open, whatever you want to call it, is the pot bunkers. They're like actual. Yeah. That's how bunkers are supposed to be. You're supposed to hit in a bunker. It's supposed to be like a shot penalty.
Yeah.
Over here, our guys would rather be in them. Just right. You know. So. That's cool. I like where you have to come like sideways out of the bunker. Sometimes you don't have a shot, you know.
So when they hit in the bunker, a lot of those guys, it's a bad deal. That's probably why some of the scores ended up being higher.
Correct. Yeah, you could easily make a double bogey by going in the bunker and having to like just move it a couple feet and then go backwards and then out. So yeah, that could happen very easily. But you know, like Schauffele and Rose, who plotted their way around the course, avoided most of those bunkers. So
that's interesting because I think last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago at the Open Championships when it was at St. Andrews when Rory was in contention and Cam Smith won. Was it at St. Andrews that year or no?
It was. Yeah, I think so.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was because I remember Cameron. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The old course. Yeah. Yeah. And the winning score in that one was 20 under.
Yeah. Like that's St. Andrews is an easy one compared to some of the other
really?
Ones. Yeah. A lot of the other ones, like if you look at, I'll have to look at. Let's see. Why
don't they play the Open Championship at St. Andrews every time? It's the home of golf, right? Like, why do they switch it for the Open Championship? I feel like that should be more like the Masters, where it's the same course every time.
It's just like at the U.S. Open. You know,
it's just like the British Open, their championship, same thing.
Yep.
I just would think you would want to play a tournament at that course where the home of golf started.
And
every year.
They get it there as often as they can. But
so it's not like every 7 years, because Royal Troon was not. It was a while back they played it. Like they play the old course a lot more often, or no?
I think they play it as often as like you can, essentially. Okay. Which is probably like once every 10 years or something like that. It
says once every 5 years. Okay. Generally played once every 5 years.
There you
go. Yeah. But that pretty much wraps up golf for the year. We've got the FedEx Championship, right? That's like the only one.
They'll do the tour, the playoffs, and then the Tour Championship.
And then we do also get to watch the Olympics this year, because golf was it was first. Like last time was the first time they had it, right? Or no? Or am I completely off there?
I know they definitely had it in Tokyo. That was the last time, and then I don't know if they had it before or not. It's a good question.
I want to say, I want to say
they did have it before, only because I know Ricky Fowler has an Olympic tattoo from being in the Olympics, and he was pretty shitty in 2020.
It says golf first appeared in the Summer Olympics in 1900 and 1904, but it wasn't considered a regular part of the games until 2016.
There you go. Okay. I think 16 he was on it.
I knew it was relatively recent.
You know, the Olympics are weird because they let you add, which is cool, I guess, but like when we host the next Summer Games, we'll have softball, baseball, and football.
Oh, you can add sports?
Yeah. So, like, the host country gets to add, like, perhaps, like, 3 of their games.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, it can come, like, you can't be, like, you know, tiddlywinks or whatever, but you can, if you can play a home country's, like, sports, because, like, for example, baseball and softball aren't in it this year. But they were in Tokyo because that's a big deal in Japan. They play baseball and softball. So now when we host again, they'll be back in. It's weird how it just goes back and forth as far as what's in, what's not. But
I'm curious what has to qualify as a sport. That is an interesting discussion. Like, how could you, what are the qualifications to get into the Olympics as a sport? Because what if the USA just wanted to go and do like, I mean, shit, we just take a sport off the Ocho and play it. I mean, look at
the pillow fighting.
The pillow fighting would be awesome. I would love to have Olympic pillow fighting. That would be great. Or we could also have, the gravy wrestling championships if it was in Britain. Like, there are plenty of great sports we could have in the Olympics that I would love to watch.
Big gravy wrestling man.
I've become a fan after watching it for a while. It's become part of my, daily. I look up and see who, how it's going.
There's a documentary on Netflix about, about everything on there these days. There's a guy that won like the Olympic speed walking. You've seen that before? That's a real event. You know that, right? Speed walking Olympics.
I didn't know that was an Olympic event. I knew it was a thing.
No, it's an Olympic event. You have to have 1 foot on the ground at all times. You can't run. So it's like,
how do they monitor that?
Dude, they have everybody that does it has a very, like, you can look up a highlight, you'll laugh. Everybody that does it has like a very specific way they walk to make it where no matter what, you have a foot. And if one of your foot, like if your feet come up, I think you have to do like a little penalty lap or something. It's fucking funny. But they were talking about this guy who won. There's legitimately a Netflix documentary about this Italian guy that won the gold medal in it. It's just talking about the struggles of power walking or speed. It's called power walking, I think.
Wait, I'm looking up some of these. Handball's 100% an Olympic sport, right? Like that's not a.
Yeah, it is.
That's like a normal one. I'm trying to look at like BMX. They
highlights
BMX.
of the race walk competition, London 2012.
Ballooning, horse long jump. Oh, here's race walking.
Yeah, here. See how they just their feet, they're like little tiny strides they take. It looks like they're like running, but it's like a shuffle.
I see now. Yeah. No, I've seen that before. I have. Yeah. I've seen that before.
It's so weird. They just like shuffle their feet along, but they go quick. That's for sure.
Oh, I was gonna ask you. I know we're talking Olympics, but I just thought about this. Do you have anything else from the Olympics or no?
No.
I mean, we're gonna talk about them next week.
We'll talk about them next week for sure. Yeah.
I'm really excited to watch them. But did you see the WSOP main event ended?
Yeah, I saw it.
Did you see? Yeah, the guy who won it's weird. There's a guy named Joel McKeon who won the WSOP like back in 2016 or 17. Uh-huh. And he and this guy who won this year have been like roommates for like 10 years, like back when he was there. Now, they're roommates in Vegas because I think how it works is because that circuit, the WSOP circuit is like 3 months, something like that, 3 or 4 months. And so I guess during the summer, those guys all move out there. And then they just like a lot of those poker players who are buddies will just live together for 4 months. They probably have a chef and all that shit. But the guy who won, Jonathan Tamayo, live with Joel McKeon. And so it's kind of crazy that they both won the WSOP main event. The odds of that happening are ridiculous. But the guy actually had been, I think he finished 21st like 10 or 15 years ago in the main event and then got back and like won it this year. And I think he finished 100th one other year. So he's been in the top 100 3 different times. The guy, though, who he played against was like a complete fucking amateur. And I can't stress enough how ridiculously lucky that is to be there. He had $40,000 in like career tournament winnings.
You know what's funny about that too? Oh yeah, no, I know. You have to
in today's, especially like when Moneymaker did it, there was 1,000 people. Sure. Nowadays, with all the technology and all the solvers and all that shit, and people playing,
and then 3,000 people that are actually good. Now,
yes,
right?
there's exactly.
Yeah, no, 100%. I will say that guy, the amateur that got second, I saw some of the hands. He got screwed multiple times. Like he should have won.
I'm trying to remember what some of the hands.
He had aces. I think he had ace king versus earlier on against the guy who won the whole thing, ace 9. And
are you talking about just in the heads up?
No. Like at the final table, like the guy was a huge chip favorite. Like when they came down to the final 3, I think, or the final. or final 10. Anyway.
No, you're talking about the amateur?
Yes.
The amateur was they were all even, and then like within two hands when they started, because they came back with the final 3. Like they played it down to 3. So the last day it was 3. The guy who was in first place, they were basically dead even at like 210 million chips. He knocked him out like on the third hand. And so he ended up going into heads up with like a ridiculous chip lead because he had basically just doubled up, and the other guy was at like 150. He had like 450.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that's what I read, that the guy that actually got third against the amateur and the guy that won was actually they said a huge favorite to win.
He should have won
because he had like apparently he had like 40 million in like online.
He's in
winning.
like he's like the best online player ever.
Yeah.
He also made a horrific call. Like the call he made,
I read about it. It was something where he had top pair, but the other guy pushed like
what happened. What happened was the other guy he had a better hand. I think he had King Jack, and I don't remember and I could be wrong here, but I think he had King Jack, and the other guy had like Jack 6, and so he flopped the guy who was the amateur Griff flopped to 6. It got bet and called. The turn was a jack. So now he had top pair with just a jack with a king kicker, and the other guy had a jack 6-2 pair, and he shoved all in, and he called with top pair king kicker. Like it was just kind of a really odd call that early for all your chips when you're the big favorite to win. It just seemed like, and if you're wrong on that, you're basically drawing dead to 1 card. So which is what happened. And so anyway. Yes, you're right.
How much did the first place get?
10.3 million or something crazy.
What was the difference between 10 like
first and second?
10 and 6 or something like that?
Yeah, around that, something like that. And I think third got 3.8 or something. So, I mean, it was a big difference even when you're playing down there, but you're already guaranteed $4 million at that point from a $10,000 entry. It's pretty life-changing regardless. Sweet. Now, it is I don't want to talk about poker too long, but I just did want to say, you're saying the guy, Griff, did get were you saying the amateur guy got unlucky?
I don't know. I saw one. I just know that the guy who won, Tamayu or whatever his name is, I saw him highlights of him sucking out like twice in a row. He did. Time. Yeah.
But he also...
But you got to get very lucky to win the
and here's
anyway,
the thing. The guy, Griff, and this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He, 2 times in the final, like, I want to say final 50 people, he hit 2 outers on the river. Like, literal, like, 4%ers on the river, where it was like, I need a queen and a queen only on the river, and he hit it. And it was like,
oh, wow.
Like, he was down at one point very low and doubled up. He had, like, so many, it had to be, like, 10 times that he sucked out to stay alive. But you have to have that if you're going to get there. I get it. And he didn't play bad in heads up. The heads up was crazy. They flipped chip lead, like 10 times back and forth, but it was clear Tamayo was better. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Let's see what else we got on the docket here. We had Team USA. We talked a little bit of NFL.
I think we're going to have Matthew. I think Matthew's going to get a couple. I think next week or next couple weeks, we'll have a couple guys from Sam Houston State come on. It'll be a virtual interview.
Awesome.
And then he had a good... Him and Jeremiah had a good idea. He said we should, I don't know how we would set this up, but he said good content. It would be fun to, because Matthew was saying all those guys do is play the video game. He said it would be fun to do a play the college kids in the video game.
It's a good idea. I like that.
Set it up. Yeah, I don't know.
I got to figure out how to stream that, but I bet we could do that.
Yeah, like the college players we do have on, just always play them in NCAA football.
I like that.
That'd be fun.
No, it's a good idea. I think we should play them.
Just playing with whoever the rival is.
By the way, I've been playing that game, and I told you this, took Texas State to the national title and as an OC my first year. Not just that saying, easy, not folks. Bragging, not bragging. Easy. Took the OC job, took them straight to the Natty. We lost, came up short, lost by 3 to Michigan. Michigan won back-to-back national titles. But yeah, we got a couple 4-star recruits coming in, but I left. I bounced up out of there after 1 year. Missouri offered me their head job. I took it. I darted. I got a lot of money. Not going to disclose the amount, but
disloyalty is disgusting.
I spent a lot of time playing that one season. I will say, when I first got the game, in all seriousness, like watching the intro put a smile on my face like I haven't had for like a lot of things, where it was like, this is so awesome. It's back. Like, what a cool feeling. And then I got into the game and I was so frustrated because it was hard. And I didn't like that it was that difficult. I tried to play on All-American. I used to be so fucking good at that game. I was like...
Now he's playing on varsity, folks.
Well,
he's beating up on the computer on varsity.
Hold on. Let me finish. I've gotten much better since that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did play my Dynasty on varsity because I wanted to fuck up the other teams and actually win. Dude, I can't play with Texas State. It's going to take me 8 years to get out of there.
To the Bobcats,
Come
right?
on. Actually,
bowl game champions.
You know what?
Year.
You know what I will say about the Bobcats, and I want to get back to my NCAA football story. But I will say that the Bobcats, if they can get through that first 3-game schedule, they have, I believe, I know it's UTSA. Well, they play an FCS team, but then it's UTSA, Arizona State, and there's one other team. They're all winnable games. If they get through that, looking at their schedule, they have a legitimate chance to win the Sun Belt. And if they win the Sun Belt's supposed to be like the best conference this year, group of 5. They could legitimately get into the playoffs. I'm dead serious.
That would be awesome.
I'm dead serious because you're going to get the highest group of 5 rated conference champ.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying it's going to. I think App State is better than them on the other side. I think Boise State, if Boise State goes 11-1, they're going to get in.
Sure.
But I think they're like, where in previous years it's 0%.
Yeah.
I think it's
10.
Yeah, maybe 8 to 10. Yes,
Still
exactly.
Exciting.
Pretty cool. So we'll see. They could end up just shitting themselves, but they got Jordan McLeod, who's really good. They have a solid running back. Their defense isn't great, but
Bailey, after you finished your first year as were you the OC at Air Force, or what were you? OC? Were you like were your hands shaking when you got offers? You're just hoping to see Vanderbilt pop up on the screen. Oh, please God, please.
John's here. Let me go.
You didn't want Vandy? Oh, you're not ready. You're not ready yet as a head coach.